from washing cars in your parents' garage to now having a lifelong career. People stumble their way into this industry in some of the coolest ways.
We act as if the process that was designed in, I think, 1957 by Ford, the journey to the sale, is still relevant today. It's not.
There is no one magic bullet in creating loyal customers.
We're not going to do that stupid shit. We're not going to hold them hostage to get those 3 referrals. We're going to organically grow them, and we're only going to ask for 1 per year. Do you know at the end of 3 years, organically, by doing so, you'll be at 45 cars a month?
Those little things is what ultimately ends up creating a loyal customer.
Correct.
Welcome to Driven Loyalty, the podcast with proven strategies and expert insights tailored for automotive professionals looking to maximize retention, enhance customer experience, and drive sustainable growth. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Driven Loyalty Podcast, where I get to talk, well, anything and everything I want to talk about, what it takes to actually create loyal customers. And I didn't use the word retention. Did you notice that? Because retention in this podcast is a bad word. We don't use that word. We are here to help you create more loyal customers in your sales department, your service department, parts, and collision. I got a special guest with me today. I'm super excited to get into it. Actually, I'm not going to say guest. I got a friend with me today. All right. I got a friend with me today. I'm excited to get into it. But hey, we can't make cool content like this without our sponsors. And here's a quick message from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Podium. So here's a question for you. What would it mean for your dealership if you had one more employee who worked 24/7, never took a break, and was focused solely on turning every lead into a yes, even the after-hour ones, into test drives, a sale, and ultimately, more revenue? Well, let's meet Jerry, Podium's brand new AI BDC. Jerry is a lead conversation machine, ready to jump on every lead that comes in instantly. He can answer questions, keep those leads engaged, and even schedule test drives, all without any direct human supervision. And here's the best part. With a seamless handoff to your sales team, your customers will never even know they were interacting with an AI. If you're curious about how Podium's AI BDC can help you move more cars, check it out at podium.com/SWJ. That's for Strategy with Jason. That's podium.com/SWJ, or just hit the link in the show notes below. All right, guys, I'm back. I have the one, the only, the oh so famous, he paid me to say this, Peter Smith. Peter, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Well, the check's in the mail, Jason. It'll be a third-party triple endorsed check, but I'm sure you'll be able to find somewhere to cash it.
No problem. It'll feel a little bit like rubber, right?
Yeah. No worries. It's a Canadian one. It's good. So thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. This is a topic that has followed me through my career, the 45 years that I've been in this business. It's I started off, as many of us did, as a last chance for romance kind of positioning. It was this or nothing. Started out in the back end of a dealership long time ago, moved my way up to the front end at 19, and then basically hit the stratosphere at that point. Led in the top 100 people in Canada for Toyota at 19.
Nice.
And that was based on retention, loyalty, and referrals. So I'm quite versed in this, and I traveled the world, worked for OEMs, worked for dealer groups, vendors, and now I'm out there in the visibility market space, where I'm creating visibility to a number of different platforms and programs, so that we can bring the auto industry back to its greatness that it was when I started in the 80s. So let's get on this.
Let's get on this, man. And I always enjoy our conversations. We always like to kind of get into it. It's like two old car dogs just jamming away, right? Hey, man, for everybody out there watching, listening, that don't kind of know you and your background, I am always fascinated how people ultimately get into the business, right? I mean, I find people get into the way of like one of three ways, right? Either, and you know how it is, you're born into the business, which, hey, for a lot of you out there watching, listening, that may be the way you got into it. And congratulations, Mazel Tov. All right. The second way is usually you stumbled into the industry through some crazy fluke series of events, which happens a lot. Or like me, you got conned into the industry. So I'm curious for you, Peter, how in the world did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
Well, I got started, like I said, when I was six. Well, I shouldn't say that. When I was 14, I loved cars, and I started washing them in my parents' garage, and started charging an exorbitant amount of money because I heard of this thing called detailing back in the 80s,
Nice.
and people paid it. Like I was making more money than my dad, and just by washing cars every Saturday, and I fell in love with it, and then shortly thereafter, I went through a traumatic event, a car accident, and I couldn't go back to school because I was in and out of hospital so often. I had to go find a job, and the only thing that I was really qualified to do was work in the car business. And so I moved cars around for various dealerships, rental car companies. I was just a driver, and I enjoyed it, and got to the point where I saw these guys called salespeople, and they were making money. They had suits and ties and fancy watches, and they were all, it looked like they were having a great time. And at that point in time, everyone smoked, and they were always out laughing and joking around, smoking cigarettes. And I went, man, that looks like it's fun. And I got into it, and I became really good at it. And with that, I like I said before, I got to travel the world. I worked in I was part of the development of business development by Ford in the 90s, and it was a very unique thing, and it just, I got to see some really cool things happen and go through this industrial revolution that we've seen, and we joke about it. When I started, we did dealer trades by looking on microfiche.
Yeah, there you go. Now you definitely aged yourself there.
Yeah, we didn't have fax machines. We hand bombed the credit apps to the banks. We it took a week to deliver a car because we didn't give the cars away until we had full authorization, and it was a very unique process. Now we got so many different technologies that will allow us to instantaneously respond and satisfy customers. It's wild.
It is, isn't it?
It's super wild.
That's crazy, man. From washing cars in your in your parents' garage to now having a lifelong career. I'm telling you, like that's the fun part, right? People stumble their way into this industry in some of the coolest ways. Well, all right, well, Peter, here's our topic today, right? I mean, the podcast is Driven Loyalty. Our intention is to help the industry understand and identify opportunities where they can just create more loyal customers. And I keep saying loyal because I will not use the R word. Retention is not a good word. Just because that Nissan dealership is 6.5 miles up the road and I go there because it's close to me doesn't mean I'm a loyal person to there. I guarantee the minute that warranty on that Armada expires, boom, I'm out. I'm going somewhere else. They have stale coffee, really bad coffee, Peter. I mean, come on, there's just no excuse to have that bad of coffee. Anyways, okay. Today's big problem that we're going to talk about is poor post sales engagement, which, come on, man, this happens all the time, right? It's like, hey, thanks for spending $40,000 with me, and don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. No, don't get me wrong. For a lot of people out there watching and listening right now, you're great operators. That's one of the reasons you watch this show. You are not one of those individuals, but I am talking to the majority of other people out there that just simply don't have a strategy around this. And, today me and Peter are going to talk about this. We're going to give you guys a strategy. We're going to break it down into people, process, and technology, because those three things are the key to any good loyalty strategy, specifically around post-sales engagement. So, Peter, let's start with people, because we're in a people business, right, man? So let's start there. All right. How do we create better people that will improve our post-sales engagement?
So let's look at this as a PowerPoint. And the reason why I use that term is PPT, well, people, process, and technology. And if we look at this as a PowerPoint, and most operators can understand that, we have to define our people. And our people have to be there. There's three things that are going to allow our people to actually operate at a level that they can really engage our clientele for long-term customer loyalty. First thing is we have to train our people. And the training is or should actually go back. We should onboard our people properly. And we all know that in this business, and Jason, you and I have experienced it, where we won't order business cards because that person will not likely make it a week. So why waste the money? We won't do this. We won't do that because we want to test the waters first, because we've been burned as dealers. So why are we doing this? Well, this is a repetitive process, and we have a massive amount of turnover. Well, hold on. Let's see if we can look at the root issue. Like, that's the biggest issue. We got to look at the root issue. Are we hiring properly? Are we onboarding our people properly?
That's well said.
Then are we training them and then coaching them? Because that's the steps that we need to do just for the people side of it. Forget about the process side. Let's look at, are we giving them the right information? We turn around and we offer them job opportunities, and we say, you can make up to $150,000 a year and work 35 hours a week. Now, who walks into the business and gets to that level? We go out and
which job are you talking about? I don't remember.
The sales job. You know,
Peter, I remember my first part-time job. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I know which one you're talking about. All right. Sorry.
The sales job that we're sitting at a bar, and we're leaning across to the bartender and saying, "Hey, you know what? You'd be a great salesperson. You come work for us, and you'll make this kind of money."
Well, let's talk a little bit about it, right? Because let's talk about let's go a little deeper down the rabbit hole of making money, right? Let's get into the pay plan, all right?
Right.
Because I think the pay plan tracks the person, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are ways that a pay plan needs to be created and defined to attract the people that we want, that are ultimately going to support a great loyalty experience. And guys, loyalty doesn't stop. Like that experience that generates the loyalty doesn't stop at the moment that they take delivery and they're out the door, right? I mean, look, like I remember the first person I trained under, right? He had his little black book, or his Rolodex, right? And in that Rolodex, there was the kids' names of his customers, their anniversary dates, birth dates, kids' favorite baseball teams and stuff like that. Like, he had information so that when he did follow up, he followed up as a human. Now, I don't know if necessarily who taught him that, or if that was just inherently something that he did or something like that, right? But I will tell you what, there was no part of his pay plan, all right, that supported, all right, him, continuing to follow up with him. That was just that was him creating his business inside of a business. And I hate to say it, but I don't think that exists anymore for most people out there. So we need to find the people that are passionate about making connections, and a pay plan has to be kind of built around that. So Peter, I'd love to kind of get your thoughts. We can spit here. How would you do that, man?
First of all, that was all invented by a guy named Harvey Mackay, and it was the Mackay 66. And he developed a way of asking 66 questions so you would know everything and anything about your customer, that you could retain them for life. And that was developed and massaged and brought into the industry, and we worked off Rolodexes and day planners, and we put it all together. Today, that's non-existent. We put it, supposedly there's this thing called a CRM. I'm not sure where it is, because it doesn't operate a lot in a dealership properly. And I know I'm going to take a lot of flack for it, but we don't operate it to its maximum. And if we did, we could change this this monster right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And if we change the pay plan and we turn around and say, an acquired customer costs us more than a retained customer.
Yes.
We all understand that.
100%.
Now, if we pay a certain amount for a acquired customer for commission and a certain amount for a retained customer for commission, and we bonus that out, say we have a 5% swing on it, what are you going to do? You're going to go after the more money. And everyone works their pay plan.
Absolutely. That's exactly what they do.
So if we say, okay, once we acquire the customer and we look at that customer, say at, okay, a acquired customer gets acquired customer is 25%, a retained customer is 35%, and a referred customer is 30%.
I dig it.
And we say, okay, that's based on cost. We still have a little bit of acquiring costs for a referred customer, but it's not as high as a true acquired customer from third-party lead generation. So if we look at that, and this is and I go back to dealer math. If you look at the conversion rates for appointments, referrals, and for repeat customers, they jump by 15% from 60% to 75% to 90%, respectively.
Yep.
So if we look at that and we say to a customer, and we look after the acquired customer once they've bought the car, and we have a dedicated retention plan for them, and I'm going to use the term retention. We're not creating them to a loyal customer yet. We're creating them as a retained customer. That means when they walk out that door, we have a dedicated timeline for contact and why we're contacting, i.e. the fall. Hey, there's going to be a little light that possibly might show up on your dash. It looks like a flat tire, but it's just warning you that your tire pressures have changed. Come back to the dealership. I'll personally take it around the back, make sure that your tire pressures are correct, and get you on your way. It'll take you 5 minutes if that.
Like, see, that is what those little things that you just mentioned there is what ultimately ends up creating a loyal customer.
Correct.
Here's the thing for everybody out there watching and listening right now. All right, there is no one magic bullet in creating loyal customers. There really isn't. Okay. The general thesis when creating loyal customers is that little things make big differences. Okay. And that's a great example, Peter. I mean, when I come back into the dealership and my name, there you go. That's a little thing, right? If you want to step one step farther, you want to make a note how I take my coffee, and when I come in for service, you're there, knowing that I came in for service, and you got a cup of coffee. There you go, right? There are little things, all right, that when they're put in a process, and that's going to be a good segue into our next topic around process, right? All right, they can make big differences. And Peter, I love where you're going with this on the pay plan. Yeah, let's take a look at, do we have to create every opportunity equally? I mean, obviously, as a dealer, the cost of that opportunity changes to me. I mean, to your point, I mean, brand new acquisition, fresh off the street, never even heard of us, never even done business with us, is one of the most expensive, all right, opportunities I have. And customer that's already done business with me, by far, probably the cheapest one out there. So why are we not building pay plans that with a sliding scale in the commission model to that? I think that's phenomenal. I'll give you one more for everybody out there watching and listening. This is one I actually employed at my dealership. And trust me, there might be some service advisors that are going to hate me, okay, for this, and maybe salespeople are going to hate me for saying this, okay. But I actually combine the two roles. I put service advisor and salesperson into one. All right, and now what you were doing is you were managing a book of business. Okay, book of business that not only that you sold to, but that also you serviced to, right? And now you were working both the front and the back of it. And I created a pay plan accordingly. And I'll tell you right now, that created deeper connections, all right, and had my people really understanding the full life value of a customer, because that's something you can't, like, I could talk about all day long, all right, lifelong value of a customer. But nobody felt it in their pay plans, right? Going back to pay plans, no one felt that. No one felt, what Mr. Johnson, who was on his 5th car with us, all right, and serviced everything that we ever told him to do. No one felt that. It was split in between two different departments. So I decided to get rid of that, right? But again, those are just one creative ways. Now I want to get into process. And like I said, I know I'm rushing a little bit over pay plans, and guys, it could be an entire podcast just on its own. So I understand maybe we'll have Peter back and we'll do that, right? But I think we're getting into the process side because, creating those connections don't happen by accident. You have to be intentional. Therefore, you have to create processes, right, that will intentionally create those connections and encourage that post-sales engagement. And I know, Peter, you got some great ideas on this.
So on process, how do we look at a retention or a loyalty program that improves the individual that's coming in to buy it? Let's look at the hospitality industry. Look at loyalty cards. Look at what we can offer as a dealership to retain them back. The numbers are staggering right now. 70% of people who buy a car right now will never return to the dealership, not for the first service.
That's huge. That's huge, man.
70% of the retained customers will defect before the warranty is complete.
Yep.
So before the warranty is complete, we're down to 9% retention. 9%. How does a dealership operate at that level? It can't. It's
not possible. Like, and this is why we're chasing our own tail.
Yeah, you're going to go out there and spend more money than you can ever imagine to try and fill that need. It's the gym model. That's why gyms go bankrupt all the time. It's awful. That churn is going to disrupt your business more than you could ever imagine. So how do we change that? How do we invoke processes that develop a way of making those customers come back and feel comfortable dealing with you? And it's not just coffee. It's how they feel. It's an emotional bearing that we have to bring to our customers, that we're actually a partner with them. We partner with them for their transportation needs. We have them covered. And in doing that, we have to develop connection processes. Now, that connection process is going to be how we communicate with them. We're going to communicate with them before they have to reach out and go, oh shit, I got to call the dealership. We're going to make sure that their first service is booked. We are going to make sure that we're watching their mileage and knowing when they need to come back to us. We're going to market to them their needs based on their driving. We're going to communicate a sales process that we're in touch with them all the time. So, and getting back to the repeat business and the dealer math, the average salesperson in the United States sells 9.7 cars per month. That's the average.
Yep.
Now, if we were to take that 9.7, let's round it up to 10, make it easy, and we say we're going to ask those 10 customers to refer one customer to us per year. That's it. We're not going to hold them hostage and say, hey, who's the next 3 people that you can think have a chance at buying a car. We're not going to do that stupid shit that happens, excuse my language, but it's a dealer show, so it happens. But we're not going to hold them hostage to get those 3 referrals. We're going to organically grow them, and we're only going to ask for 1 per year. Do you know at the end of 3 years, organically, by doing so, you'll be at 45 cars a month? 45 cars a month based on closing ratios. That is not hard. And listen, it's so much easier to have a communication and a conversation with someone that has a warm introduction. And that's what we're missing. And stop the madness of the addendum. Stop the madness of all the hidden charges. Stop. Let's be transparent. Let's actually work that to a point where we want our community to come to us.
I'm with you.
And that's the problem. And that's what I've been screaming from the rooftops for the last 3 years. That's why I got back into the business, because the Jeep dealership that I purchased my car off of was so horrifically immoral in their actions that I had to write about it, and it was written up by some trade magazines, and they brought me back into the business. It's just horrific. There was something today about the fine print, and someone put the fine print out, and it's gone viral on how dealers operate. That's not crazy.
It's those things. It's those little things. See, that's what I'm talking about, guys. For everybody out there watching and listening, look, I know for a lot of you guys, you do good jobs on this. Okay,
You're right.
But to Peter's point, there are. Okay, I see it. Like you said, I've had the opportunity to visit around 400 dealerships in the last 5 months, and I'm going to tell you, there's some amazing operators out there. I'm going to tell you, there are some that are not so amazing, and I wouldn't personally even send one of my friends or family, go purchase a vehicle from them. But it's those kind of little things. See, that's the thing. I think everyone has to realize is that, it's little things like this, these little processes that just have to be looked at, that tip the scales between a great experience that ultimately generates loyalty and a bad experience, which then generates a pissed off customer who's yelling at the top of their lungs, do not go do business with these people. Right. So it's like, I know. And look, it's a balance. Look, when it comes to process, and Peter, there's some great processes there, man. And I think hopefully if you guys out there watching, you take some notes on this. But I will say when it comes to process, there's a lot you have to look at, and it's a lot of little things. And one of the biggest processes I can encourage you to go execute at your dealership right now is a little things meeting. All right. I used to host this with my managers, and I absolutely loved it. Okay. This was a meeting that they could not bring something big and catastrophic to it. All right. Because if it was big catastrophic, we'd probably dealt with it later. We'll deal with it in real time, right? Little things, all right, that they were going to change and they were going to make impact within real time. We're talking real time, like within 2 weeks of having that meeting, whatever little thing they identified was going to be fundamentally changed. And hey, Peter, it could have been something as simple as, hey, this text is too small. I'm going to reorder these documents with larger text so people can actually read the damn things and actually know what the hell's in there. Maybe the language is not appropriate, and we need to look at that, right? So, like, I encourage you, one of the best processes, and Peter's got some great processes too as well. The best process you can do is start doing a little things meeting with your managers. All right, document 1 to 2 little things that as a department you're going to make adjustments to. Those little things over time make big differences. Now let's get into the technology, because you mentioned it earlier, Peter, because we said this 3-letter acronym, which, by the way, our industry loves 3-letter acronyms and 4-letter words. You said CRM.
Yes.
Right? Which was supposed to be this magical piece of technology that was going to wrap the process around our people, and we were going to execute greatness.
So, Jason, on that, this is the crusher. This is the absolute crusher for a lot of people. When I was, like I talked about earlier, searching at dealer trades on microfiche, that's how far technology was horrific. And then the internet came around, and then personal computers, and and now we got these boxes on our desk that store every piece of information ever given to the dealership at our fingertips. What happened? Absolutely nothing. We still sold 9.7 cars. And the reason why is we're not training and coaching our people on how to use those systems to maximize the technology. We're not training and coaching our people on how to engage with AI. We're not training and coaching our people on how to maximize social impact, meaning social media. And I'm going to talk everything from LinkedIn all the way down to TikTok. Hey, you got a guy out there named Russell Richardson that is taking the world by storm and charging an exorbitant amount of money to get dealers to understand this. And he's booked to probably 2035. This is what we're missing. And the reason why we're missing it is we act as if the process that was designed in, I think, 1957 by Ford, the journey to the sale, is still relevant today. It's not. And we talk about, we got to measure test drives, and we got to measure write-ups, and we have to measure this, and we have to measure that, and we use our CRM and our desking tools to show that the proficiency of that individual. Well, no, the actual technology that's out there is analytical metrics, and now I can tell how competent Jason is on handling a Car Guru's lead versus Peter handling a Car Guru's lead, and I can then process before it even happens to make sure my best people look after my best opportunities.
Exactly.
And then once we look at that and we've converted those opportunities to customers and clients, then we look at technology to make sure that we're reminding our teams how to manufacture loyalty. And that is the most important thing that we are missing in the dealership, is creating that sense of loyalty, creating that sense of belonging for both the team member. And Richard Branson said it best: look after your team members, and they'll look after your clients. And that's what we have to do. We have to really show that where you're working is a, how would you say, it's a almost Xanadu. This is the only place to work. This is how we don't have turnover. Turnover costs so much, and that turnover goes to retention again, and goes to loyalty, because no one wants to go into the place that they don't know who was there last, and
it's a disconnect. It's a disconnect.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. I mean, if our technology, look, the purpose behind our technology is to help us, similar to that Rolodex, right? The Rolodex that we had, all right?
Mhm.
It is to help us make the customer feel known by us as a business. Like that's the objective, right? And if the technology is not doing that, then it's not serving its purpose. I mean, if the technology actually to the customer taste like you're actually making me more separated from the business, then it's a wrong piece of technology, right? A good piece of technology should feel like, hey, these guys know me, right? They know about they know about my needs, they know about my wants, they know about what's coming up, and what like they know. And a good piece of technology should do that. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. So think about it this way: if I go into a restaurant and the restaurant, or sorry, let's back that up again. I'm calling up on my local restaurant and I'm making a reservation for my wife and I.
Yep.
And right off the bat, they have my phone number, it's my public identifier, and they go, "Hi, Mr. Smith. You haven't joined us in the last 6 weeks. Is there something we can do to help you come in, or whatever?"
Yep.
It's that little detail, and it's the devil in the detail. So you come in, and maybe they give you a welcoming cocktail the next time that you walk in.
Well,
And
they know you, right? It's cheers.
it's great to have you back. You know what? Last time you were in, you had this. The chef has this prepared on the menu tonight. I strongly recommend it. Your server knows more about you than you do. This is
Okay, real quick, because I love this, and Peter, I'm totally with you on this. In fact, I do this with clients all the time. Whenever I take them out, there are key restaurants I take them to just so they can actually experience what I believe real hospitality and what it feels like to be known is like. Right? There was a little Italian place next to my house. I didn't even order off the menu. It was just like whatever you say, that kind of thing, right? But where I'm going with this is that feeling of being known is insanely important, and it has to be a part of the technology. Look, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time, Peter, and I feel like there's still a lot that we need to like we could dive into here. So I think for everybody out there watching, listening, would love to maybe kind of connect with you, Peter, and maybe just continue some parts of this conversation or learn more about what you do. What's the best way to connect with you?
So the best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn. Peter Smith. I run a company called Lion Partnership. I look after a lot of people. You can see them in the background behind me. The second way is through cell phone at 905-466-2786. Again, 466-2786. I welcome any and all conversations about this industry. I'm looking to help, not really turn around and put the industry down, because it's given me so much, just like you, Jason. It's a career love, and all I want to do is make it better and look after the people that I'm around.
Dude, I love it. And everybody out there watching, listening, you need to connect with Peter. And dude, there's actually a great place, Clubhouse. What time can people jump on? That'd be cool.
Absolutely. So every Thursday night, I host a Clubhouse room at 8 p.m. It's called the Automotive Industry Innovators and Disruptors. We really stir it up on current topics, what people are thinking about, what technology's out there, and really looking to make the industry better. And we have some fantastic sponsors that allow us to make it happen, and it's really intriguing. So awesome. I look forward to seeing you there.
That's awesome. Hey, for everybody out there watching and listening, most people at this point in time in the show is going to ask you to hit that like button, smash the subscribe, and all that good jazz. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to ask you for something different, because one of the biggest compliments that you can give us as content creators is to share the show. Share the show. That means the world to us. If you got a manager or a colleague or a friend that needs to hear some part of today's conversation about creating more loyal customers in their dealership, share the show. It means absolutely a ton to us. Great way to say thank you, right? Hey, Peter, thank you so much for the time today, man. This has been a blast for everybody out there watching and listening. You have yourself an amazing day. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Driven Loyalty Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Happy podcasting.